In today's Leeds news, Meslier leaves Leeds United. Gabby Gudmundsson happy at the club. Piroe's exit noise. Elland Road update with Bielsa will go walls. Home kit leaked. Retained list revealed. And rumour mill stories on Natan and Ueda. Welcome back to the Leeds View for your news on the 10th of June. I hope you're all having a really good week so far. There will be a podcast out tonight, myself and BBC's Adam Pope having a chat about the mid-block, that weird bit in the middle of both the seasons, around what last year looked like and what next season will look like, and some of the noise around Leeds United's squad and transfer plans heading into the summer. You can check that out tonight. Should be up about 7:30 if you want to get into that. You can also available on all the audio platforms. There's a bit of stuff to get stuck into today, so we're not going to hang around. We'll jump straight in with the breaking news this morning about Illan Meslier. I mean, I say breaking news, but this probably shouldn't be a shock to absolutely anybody. The news that we were all expecting has now been made official. Leeds United have announced that Illan Meslier will leave the club this summer once his contract expires at the end of this month. Meslier, at 26 years of age, clocked up 216 appearances for Leeds United, and he also managed to keep 72 clean sheets during that time. He was part of the lap of honour on the final home game of the season this year against Brighton and Hove Albion. So we did get to say goodbye to the fans. We saw images of him then sitting on a football in the rain, taking in Elland Road on his own, which was a real sad way to see the end of what was a very, very promising goalkeeper at one point in his career at Leeds. A portion of the statement from the club reads as follows. Leeds United can confirm that Illan Meslier will leave the club this summer upon the expiration of his contract at Elland Road. Throughout Meslier's time in West Yorkshire, he has remained a strong teammate, a constant competitor on the pitch. Thank you, Ilan. Everyone at Leeds United wishes you the best with your next steps and your future career. Full version of that statement is available at leedsunited.com if you want to get into that. You can. As I say, it's a real shame that it ended the way that it did for Ilan. At one point, he was looking like he was going to be the future and long-term goalkeeper of the club. Came in as a very young lad, forced his way into that first team, was a huge part of the promotion campaign under Marcelo Bielsa, and then had a really strong first season in the Premier League. Unfortunately, then the two seasons that followed seemed to absolutely shatter his confidence. He did still manage to pick up a Golden Glove award in the Championship in Leeds' first season, but then unfortunately lost his place due to a few mistakes to Karl Darlow on the last promotion campaign. But he does leave the club with two promotions under his belt. He was a very strong part of what Leeds United did under Marcelo Bielsa, and I wish him absolutely nothing but success in his future career. There are plenty of goalkeepers who've moved on from Leeds United and had really strong careers, and I still think Illan Meslier will have a very good career and likely to have a lot of interest in him going into this summer. Unfortunately, it didn't end the way we would have all liked it to, but we wish Illan Meslier all the best in his future. Let's move on to Gabby Gudmundsson. One of the most important areas for Leeds United this summer was to retain the key players from last season. Pragmati last week, when he was speaking to the press, highlighted this and said it was absolutely an area that Leeds were going to make sure they focused on this summer. We've already seen Natan sign a new contract at the club, so that was an indicator. But former Leeds United left back Stephen Warnock has said that Gabby Gudmundsson has turned into one of the best left backs in the Premier League this season. Back in May, Warnock said that Leeds should be preparing themselves for offers and interest from Premier League rivals, given the season that Gudmundsson have. It's great to see an ex-Leeds player touting out the current crop as well. However, left back is a very tight area for Leeds United, so letting your only natural one go after a very strong first season in the Premier League doesn't make a huge amount of sense, and seems unlikely that Leeds would allow that to happen unless something crazy was to come in for it. But the Swede himself has been speaking about it, and he doesn't sound to me like a player that's looking at moving away from the club. And he spoke to Svenska Dagbladet and he said the following. The goal was to keep the club up. Everything felt good. It will be exciting to see what we can do further down the line with the group we have. So not the words of a player who looks like he's edging for the door. But he was also asked about the response of the Leeds United fan base to him, and he said the following. They have been supportive all season. Absolutely fantastic. From the first day I arrived, they have been a big factor in the success that we have had. He's got a big few weeks ahead of him, Gabby, at the World Cup with Sweden. There'll be a lot of eyeballs on him, no doubt. There'll be a lot of people scouting the World Cup this summer to see what bargains they can pick up. He won't be a bargain for anybody looking at taking him away from Leeds United. Cost Leeds £10 million last summer was money very, very well spent. And again, it doesn't sound to me like a player who's sitting on the fence or hedging his bets. I mean, saying that he's planning for the future is something, I mean, he's not doing that stereotypical thing that footballers tend to do where they say, oh, I don't want to talk about it right now. I want to focus on the World Cup. I'll talk about the future later on. We'll see what happens, blah, blah, blah. He's not doing any of that. So that's a positive sign, if nothing else. I'm a big fan of Gabby. He was one of my players of the year. And he also picked up the Player of the Year award for the Leeds United Supporters Trust as well. So he's very well appreciated at the club. He's been excellent. Looking forward to seeing what he can do next year with a full season under his belt in the Premier League. Let's move on to talk about Joe Piroe. Joe Piroe is expected to decide his future this summer as he heads into the final year of his contract. Parag Marate's interview, as I said last week, talked about players leaving the club as well as coming in, but specifically spoke about the fact that players that had struggled to get minutes this summer would likely struggle more next season as Leeds looked to upgrade the squad. Piroe managed just 315 Premier League minutes last season. Leeds looked at a striker last year in January. Leeds tried to buy Jurgen Strand Larsen. That tells you that they were serious about upgrading that position or adding more quality to it. And they've been linked continuously over the last couple of months with a move for a striker. So all of that put together would suggest that Joe Piroe could be heading towards the exit door this summer. But fresh reports this week have linked Joe Piroe with a move, and Middlesbrough keep popping up. They're looking to strengthen their attack this summer after missing out on promotion to the Premier League via the playoffs. Rangers keep being linked, but it does just feel like a very lazy link to pop Rangers in with it, given the connection between the 49ers, Parag Marate and Glasgow Rangers. And they are coming from very unreliable accounts at this moment in time. Borough, though, do seem like the moderately firm offer at this moment in time, or at least link right now. However, an awful lot of this will depend on Joe Piroe. Does he want to move back to the Championship? Again, he talked about playing in the Premier League as being a dream. He's gotten that this season. Is that enough, or does he want more? If you go back to last summer, there were links between Joel Piroe and a move to the Netherlands. That could still be there. At the moment, it's pretty quiet around any links to clubs in the area division right now. But in his own words back in January, Piroe will decide his own future this summer. And he might decide to sit out his contract for the next 12 months and give himself that option coming into the summer. It seems unlikely because he'd probably miss out on 2 years worth of competitive football. For Leeds' part in this, they seem pretty open to offers for Joe Piroe. There's not a huge amount of noise around the new deal, so it is widely expected that he will leave the club this summer if, and it is an if, the right offer was to come in for him. We saw that last season with Illan Meslier. Leeds didn't get the valuation they wanted. They sat on it and left the club for free. It'll be interesting to see what they do around Joe Piroe. Quick update on Elland Road. As more pictures have started to come out around the work that is being done, we're going to keep an eye on this all over the summer because it is moving pretty quickly and it's been a really busy place, and there are more images that have popped out showing the initial progress and some surprising ones for me as well. There's been a bit of work done that I don't think anybody was actually expecting to be done right now. As we've said before, the ticket office is gone. That land is now being cleared. The Bremner Suite is being hacked down as we talk, and the walkway for the opposition fans to come in at the back of the West Stand is all but gone right now. The interesting one is the cop roof appears to be gone, or at least a portion of the top of the cop roof appears to be gone. That didn't look like it was going to get work done this year. It does look like just updating work, or at least fixing the overall roof, because the cop isn't supposed to get done until 2028. So there's still 2 years on that. But the roof has definitely, as you can see from the images on screen, has been removed. The other images you're looking at here, the banquet area behind the cop is now up. It's got 2 floors on it. Lovely area for everyone there in order to keep that money coming in during the summer. You can see the cop roof has also been removed. Supporters area has been cleared. There's a lot of work going on there. So even without any new stands going in there this summer, the Elland Road is already starting to look pretty different right now. Flip around to the other side of the ground and the east stand, and work has been continuing on the Marcelo Bielsa and Howard Wilkinson tribute. That is all but done right now. And you can see those images there as well. And a fitting tribute finally to 2 managers that achieved an awful lot at Leeds United. It's long overdue, but great to see that it is finally being done and nearly completed. So changes on both ends of the ground right now. Let's move on and talk about the kit. I mean, this isn't a secret to anybody at this stage, is it? We've seen this to death. But a bit more information has come out about this, or at least a link. It appears to have popped up in a store somewhere in Asia, an Adidas store in Asia. So official branded store on a shelf for sale. Now, it's outside of Leeds' normal home kit release window, which is usually around the beginning of July or mid-July. That doesn't appear to be the case right now. But a bit of detail on this, because this does appear to be the exact kit. If you look at the earlier leaks that came out from Footy Headlines, the collar isn't that V-neck that's been knocking around on some of the knockoff versions. It has the, I won't say quite a grandfather collar, but that piece cut out of it. The badge is also a very big indicator as well. And knockoff ones, the badge doesn't tend to look exactly the same. It tends to be a bit thinner. That looks right. And you've got the oversized stripes on the sleeves as well. So that does look like that will be Leeds United's kits for next season. You can sound off in the comments about this one. I'm not making a final decision on it until I see it on a player, because I like a clean white shirt, but that's personal preference. There are a lot of people that would like that. I'm not their target audience. I'm 45 years of age. I'm not who they're going after, but you can let me know your thoughts on this. Let's talk about the Leeds United retained list. Not something Leeds tend to do in a huge amount of detail anymore since the championship days, but they have put out a retained list. And as we've already said, Illan Meslier has been confirmed on that list as having left the club, or leaving the club on the completion of his contract. But he's not alone. Facundo Buonanotte leaves the club and heads back to Brighton and Hove Albion with thanks from Leeds United. Myself and Adam Pope did speak about Facundo Buonanotte, which you'll see tonight in the podcast. I wouldn't be against seeing him come back as another option, number 10, not as the main number 10. If we got our main targets and had him on loan for another season, raising that floor again, give him a full pre-season, wouldn't be against seeing that, but we talked about it tonight. Interestingly enough, though, Leeds have confirmed there are contract negotiations ongoing with Sam Byram, Alex Cairns, and Karl Darlow. Karl Darlow being the one that everyone is keeping a close eye on. Alex Cairns, Sam Byram wouldn't be at the level that would be having any major impact on Leeds United's finances. 2 Leeds lads, and I think it's very important to have as many Leeds people in that dressing room as you can possibly get. They've been massively important to helping players bed in when they come in, and the next crop of players that come in as well. I wouldn't be against seeing them there. Byram has talked about trying to play football next season, so he might want to see what options he has out there. Alex Cairns, I'd love to see him go into a coaching role at the club as well and stay here for the longer term. On the academy side of things, some players will be leaving. Connor Douglas, who was on loan at Buxton last year, will leave the club. Devin Brocky also leaving the club. Lewis Piroe, who came down from Scotland a few years ago and looked really good in the 16s, unfortunately hasn't worked out for him, and he will leave the club. And Marley Wilson, who missed nearly a year, or just over a year, of action with a back injury, will leave the club after making his comeback to football this season. Goalkeeper Daryl Ombang, who had a very good loan at FC United of Manchester, has been offered a new contract. Hasn't signed anything yet, but there is an offer on the table. Leeds have also confirmed scholarship deals for Freddie Lane, Jack Morris, Jacob Render, Joshua Hamilton, Luke Madikevich, and Will Firth. Some players there that have had very good seasons this year. Luke Madikevich at club level and at international level. Jacob Render, Freddie Lane back in action after his injury layoff. All very, very strong seasons. Leeds have also actioned the option on George Kenyon to keep him at the club. I believe in the club will be goalkeeper Alex Baird, along with Elton Simo. So that's the retained list. They will head off away from the club. And some interesting stuff there. The Karl Darlow contract is good to hear that at least there's negotiations ongoing right now. And then, yeah, I'm not against keeping Sam Byram and Alex Cairns at the club at all. Let's get into the rumour mill territory. Pinch of salt, as always. So 2 stories today, mostly clarifying of one. We'll give you updates on stories. If someone's been linked with Leeds, we will also come back and tell you when another club looks like they're going to go and sign him instead of Leeds. So there's 2 here. The first one is coming out of Spain, and it's Natan, or Natan, or whatever way you want to pronounce it. The Real Betis centre-half, who was linked with Leeds United last summer and has been linked again. According to Spanish outlet ABC Sevilla, they claim that Leeds United still retain interest in the 25-year-old centre-half, Natan. The report claims that he is one of Betis' most influential and respected players at their club, but he is also seen as an asset with high value this summer should they decide to sell. Now, here's where this report looks like it tends to fall down a little bit. Barcelona made a €35 million offer as part of a loan purchase agreement, a very Barcelona way of signing players. In January, that was rejected by Betis. Betis are said to want €45 million for Natan, which is roughly ballpark, £38 million, which would be a record signing for Leeds United. West Ham are also mentioned as a club that have got some level of interest in him, but it does seem incredibly unlikely. That would probably be a third, if not half, of Leeds United's transfer budget on one position that they've already got players in. Now, this is where it gets interesting in terms of it. Does he fit the Leeds United recruitment model bubble? And he does. He's 25 years of age. As I say, he is 6'1" in height, and he's a left-footed centre-half, a ball-playing centre-half. Last season, he had 32 league games under his belt, no goals or assists, and he had a 95% passing accuracy in his own half, 73% in the opposition half. In terms of defending, he wins about 53% of his aerial duels, 48% of his ground duels. Now compare that to Pascal Struijk, who wins 55% of his ground duels and 56% of his aerial duels. So Struijk is taller than him. I think he's a couple of inches taller than him as well. So yeah, it's a lot of money for a player. Yeah, he ticks the bill. He's a good age. He's got a big future ahead of him. If Barcelona are sniffing around him, other European clubs will be as well, who've got far deeper pockets than we have right now. So yeah, I wouldn't put a huge amount of stock in it, but we'll keep an eye on it. The next one is Yassi Ueda, who's been linked repeatedly with Leeds over the last couple of months. The Feyenoord manager has been sacked, but Ueda managed 25 goals in 31 appearances last season. He's got a World Cup coming up with Japan as well, so he is focused very much on that. So any likelihood of a move for him probably won't happen until Japan exit the World Cup. Sportsboom are claiming that Everton and Brighton are now the front runners to sign Ueda this summer. Leeds are still being mentioned as interested parties, but are not labelled in the bracket as being favourites of signing him. A fee of £35 million, about £28-29 million is needed if you want to get him. Everton have been labelled as the team with the most concrete interest. Brighton have been named as a club that fit his style of play. Everton are said to be preparing an £18 million offer for the Japanese striker. Leeds are mentioned again, but Leeds are only said to have showed interest in the striker and nothing more than that, and definitely nothing more recent than that. So at this moment in time, clearing the deck of a few players right now. Folks, that'll be it for me this morning. Back tonight with the podcast with Adam Pope. You can check that out if you want to keep an eye out for. Also available across all your audio platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Check us out there if you want to as well. I will talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.